Hello everyone, this is Shelby with Shelby Creations. Welcome back to the Dragon's Den. Yes, I'm back with another messy desk. It was clean. Y'all saw that it was clean. In fact, it got to the point of where my little extra bins that I use, this one's usually what I call my trash bin. I learned how to make it from Genevieve over at Genevieve Designs. Check out her YouTube channel for that. But I've got this one that holds like stickers and ephemera and other pages and stuff. And they were all clean. And they're still clean. But I still had a few scraps left. And they're gone. Yes, even my scrap tray is empty. Woohoo! How many times are we going to say that? It's probably the only time I ever say that. Because I always have scraps in my scrap bin. But what I did with my scraps is, let me show you. I had gone and made altered paper clips. I have a ton of them now. So I've got a nice supply of them. I've got those in there. And I went ahead and pulled the drawer out because it's way over there. I've got some that I made with leftover lace, little snippet things, and smaller ones that would get lost in the box. And just a couple of pieces of paper on there, a few little, pieces of material, little bling. That's the butterfly I had made from a flower. I may stick this on a paper clip somewhere. That's why I have it in there, to remind me. But as you can see, I have tons of them. Plenty and plenty to work with now. So, and no more scraps. I am shocked. But what I've been working on, I found out in putting everything away that I have, let me see what I do with it. I have ephemera books. And some hold tags, some hold envelopes, stamps, ephemera, all kinds of things. And I keep them in these little things. They've got little acetate pockets in them. And again, I learned how to do this from Genevieve over at Genevieve Designs. But I have the little dangle tags that I made so that when they're on the shelf, these will hang down and I can see what they are instead of having to pull out every book. Well, now most of you that know me know my eyesight is going. I'm scheduled on Halloween exactly to have cataract surgery. But try to read that. I can't read that. I know it says envelopes. And unless you get up really, really close, because of the background and the small type on the label, it's difficult for me to read. So I want to make new labels. Now I've got all my ephemera books. I've got my template books. So I've got quite a few labels to make. So what I've done is I pulled out this heavy sheet of chipboard. It was supposed to have been part of a book of some sort. I think I got it when AC Moore was going out of business. All I did was I trimmed this edge and cut them in 1-inch strips all the way across till I got to the eye part, where the eyelets are. And I cut those off. Now, it gave me quite a few strips. I still have these left to cut. But what I have so far in labels, I've got a ton of them. Now, I've rounded the edges. On some, I did both edges. And what it gives you 3 per each of these strips. Gives you 3 3-inch labels and 1 2-inch label. So they start out like this, as you can see. And I've got them all messed up. The 2 inches, I rounded the edges there. This one, I did the 1/2 inch there and the 1/4 inch down here. Some I did like this way, but you know, nobody's going to see them but me. I tried doing the 1/2 inch on one and the 1/4 on here, but it sort of left it wonky looking, but nobody's going to see them but me. So it doesn't matter. And that's going to be where the hole is anyway, so. But these will be on things that are, yeah, closer to my eyesight. So that you end up with 4 of these in that strip because I cut them. I cut that one strip. I think it was like 11, the page is 11 inches long by 10.5. So you lose, like, you lose some there. But this is what I've got. And I mean, it makes a ton of them. And believe me, I'm gonna need both sheets. But when I was cutting the strips this way, with my box cutter, you know, I love my little box cutter. And I do replace the blades quite regularly because there's no use of having one with a dull blade because that's very, very dangerous. You end up using more force than what you need, and it's not good. And what I did was I marked the 3 inches on each side. See, I've already cut this part off, but I've got these 2 and then the 2-inch left. Now, I do have the big precision cutter, Fiskars precision cutter, and it does not like cutting these thick pieces of chipboard. But in my stash of scissors, we all have a stash of scissors, I found some that are super sharp. And what I do is I line up the cutting side of the blade. Now the cutting side is where this is the cutting side of your top, this is the cutting side of your bottom. You can see that I've used this quite a bit. I do need to clean these. But I line up that cutting side on one, and then along the same blade, line it up on the other side and follow through with your scissors. Yeah, it goes flying, but it works. And it cuts through this chipboard a little bit stiffer than butter, but yeah, it's quite easy to do. So use different methods when you're cutting chipboard and find out what works for you, what's easiest for you to do. Now, once I get them cut and I get them, you know, the corners chopped, then I paint them. And I'm simply going to paint them white like this, and then I'll go around the edges. With the last one, I did it in a shiny gold, and I loved it. It's a metallic gold. It gave it sort of that really nice look, but this thing's empty now. And I bought this at Michael's like eons ago, but I don't want to have to go all the way across the county to Michael's to get another one. So use what you have. I found this in our stash paint. It's a folk art made by Plaid, and it's like a bronze color. That is pretty. So I'll go around the edges with that. But something I found out. Now, let me pull this out because you've got to see what this thing looks like. It is an OMG for sure. I came across in our stash of stashes this old can of gesso. It's supposed to be brilliant white. It's only a pint, acrylic liquid gesso. And I figured, okay, because at that time, it's all I could find. I couldn't even find my white paint like this. And shook it. It was still liquid. That's good. It means it's still gesso, right? So I shook it, and I shook it, and I shook it some more. Finally, I opened the lid, and when I did, I noticed, you probably can't tell it, but the lid itself down in between here was real flexible. So I knew this can was not going to last more than 1 or 2 openings. I mean, look at the condition of this can. This gesso, we got this out of the garage when we were cleaning out Nick's parents' garage when they were moving from their condo into the house. And she must have had this for ages. I can't even tell what the price is on here, but she used to be an art teacher. She's retired now. And this is like an ancient can of gesso. I do not even see a date on here. I see nothing on here that tells you how old it is. But, I mean, yeah, you can tell by the condition of the can. But I didn't want to throw the gesso away. So what I did at this point, Nikki took me over to Hobby Lobby. Or not Hobby Lobby, but Dollar Tree. The Dollar Tree. And I bought 2 of these jars. Little mason jars, you know, with the little lids. And I was only going to get one, but you know Nikki. Well, get another one. You may need it. Yeah. Another thing with these jars, these lids. Also at Dollar Tree, I found these little tops in the garden section. Probably a year or so ago. But if you take out that top, that fits in it. And you can put that on there. And if you use, you know, you can fill it with your seam binding, your threads or whatever, and pull them through the different holes. Or use this as a planter to hold your flowers on your desk. Another thing that works on here, on the tops, are the large Parmesan cheese tops. You know, the big ones, about that size, that have the half opening on this side and the holes on this side. Those also fit on these jars, which are really good. But what I did was I dumped all the gesso into this jar. Now I don't have the lid on very tight on this. Let me see if I can rectify that right quick and get it on a bit more secure so I can turn this on its side. There we go. I'm bad with putting lids on. But as you can see, the gesso is still white. Now it did come out lumpy. So all I did was, I keep a set of the plastic cutlery in my drawer. Not for eating, but the forks are great for making bows. The knives are good for spreaders. The spoons are good for mixing things that a normal stir doesn't work for. And I used the spoon and I stirred and stirred. And we're back to being gesso, or as close as the original as possible. And it works, as you can see. You know, it doesn't feel grainy, even though it looks like it in the jar and it still has lumps. When you paint with it, it paints just as smooth as normal. Now, as you can see, this has plastic wrap on it. And I do that when I open things. I put some plastic wrap on it. And then when I close them, if I need to put another piece, I'll put another piece, because let me show you what happens here. When you open it and you use it, you know how the paint gets down on your threads? Even with the plastic wrap, it does get down there. But this keeps it from coming in contact with your lid and making your jar stick. And then all I do is I simply peel it back, and you know, I've got paint that I can use. I can use that to, you know, clean off one side of the brush. And I haven't punched the hole in this one yet. I'll do that in a minute. But, well, I think I've let my brush dry. Oh. Let me pull out another brush here. And it goes on just as smooth, look at that, as if it was a new can of gesso. But you can use this tip with the plastic on glue bottles, you know, the larger ones that you buy that you pour out. Put your plastic over it when you seal it off, so that you're not getting whatever's inside your container on your threads and making it difficult to open. So put that back on there, and I'll put it down nice and tight, and then it's ready. I'll finish this up in a moment. But, and this is just one of the tips. So what I need to do is I'll make all these little tags, get them cut, get them painted, go around the edges and doing, putting all new tags on my folders and things. But what prompted me to do that was when I was putting all this stuff away, and I had pulled way too much stuff for this journal, I will admit it. So instead of sitting here and trying to use everything, I went through, organized it, and put it where it belonged. Takes a little bit of time, but it also let me know what I have. And then pulling for the altered book that I want to do as our next project, I went to go and pull a few things, and of course they weren't where I thought they were. Figures. So I figured, well, what is in this space? Why isn't it here? So I pulled out what was in that one space, went through it, organized it, put things where they belong, found things that I didn't need to use anymore or I didn't want. And I do have a crafty sister that is getting a few things that, from my purge box. And that's what we do. We reorganize sections as we go along. Now, I know a lot of us, we've set up our space and we think, oh, I've got the perfect craft area. I know where everything's at, or, it's all organized, or it's all clean. And we actually sit down to work and we find that, oh, well, I'm always pulling this. Well, why is it way over there? So then we have to reorganize or move things around. This is not a setback, and we should not consider it as such, because this gives us a chance to go through what we have, to sort of inventory our things. To give you an example, I don't know whether it was sent to me in Happy Mail or if I had bought it or what, but you remember at one time we used to do the dimensionals, where you would take like five exact pictures, you cut out the whole one, then you cut out different spaces, and you would stack them with double-sided sticky foam in between them. A good example, I found a sheet of these little angels that were already, all I had to do was poke them out. They were already cut, all the different little spaces or little pieces. I didn't know I had these. So I've got that one. I've got this one here, which, I think they're just adorable. And I've got this one. And you see, sometimes they end up quite thick. And what I'm going to do with these is on the back, I'm going to put a magnet and send these to Victoria's mom, Rebecca, for her fridge. She loves angels. And it's, just a little something like that for her. But I didn't know I had them. So now that I found them, I've done something with them, and I can put them to, where I want them to go. But unless we look through what we have and take the time and, take one little section, even if it's just a cube or a little space on your shelf, take that one section and go through it, reorganize it or clean it, or do something so that you actually look in and touch and see what you have, so that you'll know that, all right, I know I have this. Or another thing that it does is it sparks our mojo. Oh, well, these have been sitting wherever I found them. I think they were in a magazine rack for I don't know how long. I think they were actually, when I had the craft room on the other side of the house, which is probably back in 2018 or 2018, 2019. Yeah, several years. But I found them. I did something with them. And if I hadn't have gone through that little section, I wouldn't have known I had it. So take the time, clean a little section. Do not think of it as a setback as a crafter, because it's letting us know what we have. It could be sparking our creativity. And also, it's a money saver. Because if you know what you have, when you go to the store, something catches your eye, you'll think, oh, well, I've got that. I don't need to buy that. So that would save us money there. Or money that we can spend on something else, maybe. Never know. So if you liked what I've shared with you today, just a few little hints and tips. Hit the thumbs up button, because those thumbs up helps us all. Subscribe to my channel and return with me to more crafty hints, tips, and creativity. So until then, bye guys. Well, I'm trying to turn it off and the camera won't turn off. Yep, I'm trying.